Disclaimer, this video exists for the purposes of entertainment, education, and theory rebuttal. Furthermore, considering the subject of this video is game theory, I want to make it clear that this video is not an attack on MatPat as a person outside of his chosen YouTube profession. I only wish to show the flaws in his theories and practices while creating theories. Unless there is substantial evidence, it is not assumed MatPat still stands behind the video in question, and when addressing older videos, I do so in a vacuum, speaking only to MatPat's assumed mindset at the time of the video's creation. If you harass or witch hunt anyone involved with this video, I will personally disown you. Thank you.
Let's talk about toads.
No, get that out of here. I'm not talking about meme toad, where every sound he makes is an utter abomination. I'm talking about real, honest-to-goodness toads. As a species. I think people don't give toads enough credit. I know people are getting sick and tired of seeing toads in every single Mario game, especially where the Paper Mario series is concerned, but there's a reason why toads have stuck around this long. Personally, I'm a fan of toads, as my utter obsession over Buckenberry and Alagold will tell you. Now, before this intro gets too long and rambly, because I could go on and on all day, I might as well get to the point. This theory is called Toad's Deadly Secret, where our good buddy MatPat is going to try to tell us that toads are mind-controlling parasites bent on world domination. This theory is dumb. Let's jump in and see why, shall we?
Yeah, thank you, Mario. Your princess is in another... Wait, what? Is he flipping me?
This joke needs to die in a fire. Toad is doing nothing of the sort. Get out of here with that.
What's the deal with the Mushroom Kingdom? I get that Princess Peach rules over it, but seriously, where are all the other human beings?
I'm just going to leave this here since MatPat can't be bothered to do his research. Yeah, remember Daisy, Wario, Waluigi, Rosalina, WarioWare, the Kings from Super Mario Bros. 3? Yeah, there's more humans in this franchise than anyone really seems to want to give it credit for.
And for that matter, why does the Mushroom Kingdom have a human ruler? And then what about royal succession? Princess Peach still isn't a queen, she's a princess. Mario doesn't even seem close to becoming a prince, and as weirdly suggestive as her sweet little notes can be construed, it really doesn't seem like either of them are putting much work into making a little Mushroom Kingdom heir. And for that matter, what's Bowser's deal? Why is he, demonic lord of the Koopas, so intent on kidnapping this lousy princess, instead of getting it together and cranking out a straight military victory?
I'm going to knock down 3 in a row. Are you ready? Number 1. Why can't Princess Peach be the ruler of the Mushroom Kingdom? It doesn't really come down to her. It comes down to the royal bloodline. If at some point in history humans came to rule over the Mushroom Kingdom, what grievance is there? Also, Peach keeping the title of princess rather than queen shouldn't be much of a grievance either, as this may just be the title she chooses to continue going under. Number 2. Assuming what's going on behind the scenes, are you? Unfortunately, you have no proof. I can't even believe it's come to the point that I'm arguing this, but here we are. Number 3. You really can't see any benefit to kidnapping a princess with a kingdom as fragile as the Mushroom Kingdom. Also, Bowser is obviously infatuated with Peach and plans to marry her, thusly he would also gain control over her kingdom. It's really that plain and simple. Also, don't try to pretend Bowser hasn't gone for military invasion before. Basically, any of the 2D platformers would like to have a talk with you, if you still think that's the case.
Let's look at the facts. Mushrooms play a very prominent role in the Mario franchise, and Toad's design is just another reflection of that. I mean, seriously, he has a mushroom growing out of his head. And before you call me out on it just being a hat, yes, he removed it in the TV series, but that's a non-canon source. In the games, it has always been firmly planted on his head, no matter how fast he's running, being shot out of a pipe, or whatever.
Allow me to date myself right fast. I first wrote this script at a time when I could have put up these sprites of the train conductor from Paper Mario and called it a day. Then this happened.
これね、実はね、頭なんですよ。で、こうすると中に何が入ってるかな、想像してください。
Thanks for digging my hole deeper, Koizumi. Really appreciate it. I thought I was doing the franchise a favor by disproving MatPat's stupid toad theory, but nope! need this point, though. I can do this without the toad's head as a hat point. Just watch.
Cordyceps in nature is famous for infecting things like ants. The fungus exerts control over the mind of the host, forcing it to an environment with the proper temperature and humidity for its growth, as well as the optimal wind conditions for the spread of its spores. For ants, this often means climbing up and attaching themselves to the side of a plant, but for the toads, this would mean any number of dark, moist, out-of-the-way places, which, surprise, is very often exactly where you find them, huddled together in groups, or all by themselves, just sort of standing there, waiting.
Okay, no. Toads are not exclusively found in dark places. In fact, most toads aren't found in dark places, and even if they're just standing around, what's the problem? They're NPCs. Of course they're just going to stand around. Please remember that we're talking about video games here.
You're also probably thinking that if the people themselves weren't mushroom-like until they were body snatched, then why is it called the Mushroom Kingdom in the first place? Well, there's an easy answer to that as we turn to the original manual for Super Mario Bros. The manual introduced the Goombas, or should I say the little Goombas, as mushrooms who betrayed the Mushroom Kingdom, implying that the Mushroom Kingdom is actually their homeland, and that it's the Goombas who were the land's namesake in the first place.
Oh my gosh, what are you doing, MatPat? All the manual says is that the Goombas Mario stomps on in Super Mario Bros. Defected from the Mushroom Kingdom. It doesn't say that the kingdom was named after them. There's no evidence for that.
It might also explain why one of Bowser's core troops are so weak. They're not really fighters at all. They're just refugees of war, victimized by the Toads, and they're doing anything in their power to get back home.
Rogueport. Let's talk about Rogueport. This is a town filled to the brim with all sorts of characters, but among some of the biggest demographics are Goombas and Toads. Gee, it's almost like Goombas and Toads can live together. What a concept! I'd also like to turn your attention to Goomba Village, which is indisputably in the Mushroom Kingdom, as it's just a short walk away from Toad Town and Peach's Castle. Sure, all we see of it is one Goomba family, but it's still a community of Goombas living peacefully within the Mushroom Kingdom very close to the Toads. In short, Goombas aren't war victims fighting against the Toads. The only war they're victim to is the one Bowser waged on the Mushroom Kingdom.
Skeptical? Yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, mind-controlling mushrooms? Yeah, okay, sure. But I wouldn't present you with this theory if there wasn't more. Remember that mycelium I mentioned earlier? Those thin fungal threads that slowly replace the host's flesh? Well, they serve another important purpose in real life too. Crisscrossing through the soil, connecting plants and fungus to a vast natural underground fungal internet. Seriously, mushrooms are scary, my theorists. Around 90% of land plants are in some sort of beneficial relationship with fungi, and it's through this subterranean mycelial network that these organisms can do anything from helping out their neighbors by sharing nutrients and advantageous information to sending toxic chemicals to sabotage an unwelcome invading force. Let me re-emphasize that. This is a fungal thread network connecting 90% of the world's plant life. It's like an ethernet for plants. It's extremely beneficial for pre-existing flora to be plugged into this network. It even boosts their immune system. So it's no stretch to imagine that in the Mushroom Kingdom, where the fungi have achieved sentience, that the natural internet would do much more, making the landscape seem almost alive. Which sounds totally crazy at first, until you realize that all those weirdly shaped Mushroom Kingdom hills really do have eyes, which, when you think about it, is much scarier than the movie by the same name.
Long clip, I know, but hear me out because context is important. MatPat is attributing the hills being alive with the sound of music to the Toads and their mycelium network or whatever. Besides the fact this is quite the stretch to make, there's one other glaring issue. The Toads aren't connected to the ground. They're not rooted down and thusly not tied to a mycelium network, so this point is immediately moot.
And if that's not enough, in the same interview, Hayashida confirmed that toads aren't mushrooms at all, stating, quote, "This particular riddle might stay unsolved. That's one of the great mysteries of the Mario universe," end quote. Oh yeah? Never thought anyone would put together that toads were brainwashed husks, controlled by mushrooms operating a vast fungi intelligence network? Huh, well, think again.
The interview said toads aren't mushrooms. The interview said toads aren't mushrooms. This means that toads are not related to mushrooms, thus they are not brain-controlling fungi. Oh my gosh.
Also, bomb drop! Thanks for proving to us that everything you have said about mushrooms in this entire theory cannot be taken seriously because toads are not fungi. Thank you very much.
Imagine you're Bowser. You rule your own kingdom. You are King Koopa. Everyone living beneath you is pretty happy doing whatever they're doing. When all of a sudden, there's a tiny little knock on your castle door. Help, help! The thousands of tiny little Goombas say, our kingdom is being overrun by a parasitic fungus. Now, normally you wouldn't carry out an active war against a neighboring kingdom, but partly because you don't want to spread into your own kingdom, and partly because you don't want to deal with thousands of useless little shiitake drones at the gate, do everything you can to eradicate this fungus menace. From repurposing the invaders into environmentally friendly masonry, to planting horsetail plants as a countermeasure to keep them from coming back, and even securing the royalty next door in your castle until the plague passes, so she doesn't get infected. It's actually a pretty upstanding and logical thing for Bowser to do, but then greedy old Mario shows up, hungry for his cake, or his kiss, or whatever. He touches your axe that makes the bridge fall. Why do you keep that thing around, Bowser? And boom, you fall into the lava and suddenly you're the bad guy for all times. Mario, the guy who in the manual is described as, quote, the hero of the story. Maybe. What an odd thing to say. Sure, we may make a big deal about Bowser being a bad dude and everything, but history is written by the winners, Internet. And if you're a good player, that winner is you. And Mario. And Peach.
Oh my gosh, this is so stupid. Let's ignore the fact that MatPat has some kind of obsession with making Mario out to be a horrible person for no reason whatsoever, to the point he'll shove it into every single Mario theory he makes for nothing more than shock value. Let's just focus in on the situation MatPat has just described for us. First and foremost, why would it just be Goombas coming to Bowser for help? What about the other species that live in the Mushroom Kingdom? Koopas, Bob-ombs, Bumpties, Squeaks, Boos, and so many more species live there. Why would it just be the Goombas that ran to Bowser? Secondly, I want to address the quote from the manual MatPat brought up purely from a lore perspective. He dismisses the possibility that maybe, just maybe, that quote references the fact that this is Mario's first adventure in the Mushroom Kingdom, and it's unknown whether or not he'll succeed. He doesn't have a reputation for this sort of thing yet. To an onlooker, there's always the possibility he'll fail. Finally, can we just remember that Bowser is indisputably the bad guy? Because even Bowser embraces this fact. Too many times, Bowser's reveled in his own evilness. He even has his subjects refer to him with titles that showcase this. Bowser's not the good guy. Even he knows it.
Which brings up one last question. Where does Peach fit into all this? Why isn't she infected? Well, you already know the answer. I showed it to you a few minutes ago. Toad, the mushrooms, serve the princess. The American manual changes it to say, quote, serves in the court of the princess, end quote, but a direct translation of the Japanese just says that the toads serve her.
Oh, no. You cannot use the English version for every other point, then use the Japanese version for this one. That means I can use the Japanese manual to tell you that, for one, the maybe quote you used earlier doesn't exist in the original Japanese text, and for two, and this is the big kicker, the Japanese manual calls the Goombas evil. Great job there, buddy.
And we see in Smash Brothers that she's very adept at using toads to get what she wants. Ever wonder how an airhead who can't tell whether or not she's won a kart race can maintain control of a kingdom?
Peach is not an airhead. She's been continuously shown to be a competent ruler, this being especially evident at the beginning of Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story, where when her kingdom is being plagued by the mysterious blorbs, she calls a meeting to try to get it resolved and actually acts like a leader to her kingdom.
Also, can't tell whether or not she won a kart race? Are you serious? Oh, did I win? Is a snarky remark, MatPat.
Cordyceps. One word, Cordyceps. Peach is the one who brought the toads to the Mushroom Kingdom in the first place. That's why they all worship her, and that's why in the US for 8 years she went by another name, one that tipped us all off to her grand scheme from the very beginning. Peach's other name, Princess Toadstool.
Except for the fact that the toads existed before Princess Peach was even born. Or did you just forget Mario and Luigi Partners in Time was a thing? So yeah, that's pretty much the end of the theory. So what are my thoughts? Well, this theory pretty much fell apart from the word go. Character analyzation is clearly not MatPat's strong point, and it really shows here. More research needed to be done because this just doesn't cut it. Even the scientific facts when applied to the toads don't line up, and that's really, really bad. Also, gosh dang it, quit trying to make the Mario series out to be this kind of dark thing that it isn't even. Frank! God.